How's it going, Ram fans? Welcome back to Monday Night Sports. I'm Chandler Jacobs.
And I'm Ella Fredrikson, back as always to keep you updated on everything going on in Ram sports as we start to reach the end of the winter season. From a rematch with Mountain West champion Boise State for CSU Hoops on Senior Day,
to sticking on the hardwood for an exclusive interview from Madeline with a guy who's quickly turned into a fan favorite here on campus.
And of course, we have Out of Pocket, which ends the night off with some controversy over the fans in Moby. Not to mention some more game picks. All of that and more on CTV Sports, which tips off right now. Sure, the snow on Saturday night might have rained out some action for CSU softball, but luckily for Ram fans, we play hoops indoors, which means that the weather didn't come close to doing the same thing for this insane atmosphere in Moby on Saturday night, where we saw yet another sellout crowd cheer on the green and gold in what was the final home game on the year, with CSU hosting Mountain West champion Boise State in a high-profile matchup of last month's OT battle. And obviously, with Moby's last go-around for a while comes the pregame festivities for Senior Day, where the madness began long before tip-off to celebrate the squad's three seniors, four-year leaders of this program, Adam Thistlewood and Kendall Moore, and of course, newcomer Chandler Jacobs. And so, after all of that build-up, there was still a game left to be played. So let's get into it. In a match containing the Mountain West's best two teams, things were predictably point for point and down to the wire, where, to be honest, a court storming in the event of a Rams victory was expected. And that's exactly what happened, with the green and gold ultimately coming away with it in a close one, 71-68, securing them the number 2 seed entering the fun down in Vegas later this week. And now back to breaking down exactly how they got away with the dub. Things were dominated by big runs for both sides early on, with CSU getting their scoring going with a 12-2 run and Boise doing well, a lot of the same, with a similar 10-0 spurt shortly after. And as shots seemed to drop for both sides and things kept getting closer and closer, Isaiah Stevens came through with the play the Rams really needed entering the half, making yet another buzzer beater from downtown to go into the locker room up 5 and give them a bit more separation. And the Rams didn't stop there either, jumping out to an 11-point lead early in the second. But as they seemingly always do, Boise never lost hope and always kept fighting. Not only tying it late in the game, but actually taking the lead twice with less than 3 minutes left on the clock. Ram fans were understandably biting their nails, myself included, and after a mistake on an inbounds pass with less than a minute left, with only 1 point lead, things weren't exactly looking good for the home team. But that all changed rather quickly when David Roddy came through with a strip of Boise's Marcus Shaver to give it right back to the green and gold, allowing them to make a few free throws and defend a final shot from BSU to secure a 3-point dub. And moving on to the stats side of things, CSU finished the game with an insane 54.9% shooting from the floor and 35.7% from around the arc. Now, normally that consistency would lead to a massive lead for the Rams, but their defense did let the Broncos drop a similar 52.9 field goal percentage, which surely kept them in this one. Like always, the Rams were led by David Roddy with 23 points, while Kendall Moore put in an impressive 19 in his swan song to Moby, and Isaiah Stevens chipped in for 12. So with all of that being said, I did just mention the green and gold seating down in Vegas. For more on what's going on down there, tune in tomorrow night for a complete rundown on what we believe here at CTV is a very winnable Mountain West tourney.
Yeah, I mean, Madeline, or Ella, excuse me, it's going to be interesting when you see it, right? Because CSU plays either Utah State or Air Force. Right. That has to happen first. And in my opinion, we kind of got bracket blessed. UNLV as well as Boise on the other side.
Setup, we got really, really lucky. It could have gone the complete opposite way, first round knockout. I mean, honestly. Right. But now looking at how that was set up and how lucky we got with that, I could see us winning this thing.
For sure, I do too. It's going to be super interesting to see if they can actually pull it out, though. And speaking of Mountain West tournaments, there's one going down right now in the same spot that the men will be in just a couple of days, and that, of course, is the women's side of things at the Thomas & Mack Center down in Vegas, where 6-seeded CSU took on 11-seeded San Jose State in their first-round matchup late last night. Now, as you expect from the seed difference in this one, things went pretty much according to plan for the Rams, almost doubling the points of the worst team in the Mountain West, and ultimately blowing out the San Jose Spartans by 39 points, with the final being 82-43 in favor of CSU. And when you look into the numbers a little bit, this performance by the Green and Gold was definitely because of their defense, which forced 14 turnovers and resulted in 11 critical points for the Rams. And moving past the stats, the individual leaders were more of the same for the CSU squad, with the deadly duo of Upe Atasu and McKenna Hofschild dominating once again against the lesser competition. Upe ended up topping the scoreboard with 17 points, and McKenna was right behind her with 16, not to mention dishing out 8 assists as well, And hey, the dub down in Vegas wasn't the only positive thing that came out of this one, with McKenna Hofschild making history for the Green and Gold, passing names like Becky Hammond and Ellen Nystrom to become number 1 on the all-time single-season assist chart with 187 and counting. Clearly, McKenna has cemented her legacy in the Rams' history, but the season goes on, and she'll need to keep performing at this level if the Rams want to make a deep run in the Mountain West tourney. Looking ahead, the Green and Gold have a quick turnaround from last night, playing once again in just a couple of hours at 9:30 against the number 3 seeded Wyoming Cowgirls, a squad they lost to just last week. So, can Upe and McKenna lead the Rams to a dub in their first actual challenge in the Mountain West tournament? Man, I sure hope so.
And now moving from the hardwood and onto the court, after a much-needed lengthy break for the Rams, they finally got things going again, taking the trip to Arizona over the weekend for a Sunday double dip against GCU and Arizona. So with the trip out west in this time of year, you might be wondering, how'd this happen and why did Grand Canyon State of all places? Well, CSU tennis head coach Miley Tran explained a little bit on how exactly they found themselves out in the desert in March, saying, "We only had GCU scheduled when I first came in, but I thought it would be worth making the trip to add another match. Thankfully, Arizona is a great ranked team, and I thought it would be a bonus to add them on, and they were happy to make the schedule work." And moving past scheduling and onto the action, the Rams started the long day yesterday out on fire, managing to take the combined match win with a final score of 4-2. Thanks to easy double wins from Sarka Riktarova and Summer Dalabona, not to mention a victory from the dynamic duo of Lucia Natal and Tracy Go. On the singles side of things, the Rams took all 3 of their matches in straight sets, with Radka Bushkova's sweep ultimately deciding the team result. But even with this dominant moment at times, things weren't always clear for CSU, with dubs by the Lopes at the 2 spots, but luckily for Ram fans, numbers 4 and 6 went a little better, coming out at yet another decisive win for the visiting squad. And after that nice win, the Rams hopped back on the road to take on U of A down in Tucson, and even though they came out with a loss, it was clear from the get-go the Rams gave it their all against a difficult, and I'll add, ranked opponent, ultimately dropping things 3-4. After unfortunately dropping the doubles point, CSU was just a little bit mixed on their single results, with Bushkova, Dalabona, and Natal winning sets 2, 4, and 6, but at the end of the day, that doubles result is really what mattered. And that's ultimately costed the Rams the upset dub in this match. But hey, it's not all bad. They did take one of the best teams in the country down to the wire. So if I were a CSU fan, I'd be pretty happy. After this mixed trip out west, Rams tennis will now shift their focus to an in-state battle where they'll travel down south to Boulder to take on the Buffs for another away trip a week from Tuesday. Let's hope they can take the W and earn some bragging rights against CU.
And now back to some more hoops, but this time in the pros. The Denver Nuggets were back in action last night, facing off against the rapidly improving New Orleans Pelicans down in Ball Arena, and ultimately taking it in OT 138-130. And with that much scoring, wow, was this one a doozy. From tip, the Nuggets got off to a hot start, scoring 35 in the first quarter alone and holding the Pels to just 19. But in the second, things started to change, with the brand new duo of CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram waking up to cut the lead to just 5 at halftime. And after that, things got even worse for the Nugs, with the Pelicans taking a 10-point lead. That's right, a 10-point lead, which put them up big entering the fourth. Oh, and to make matters even worse, Coach Malone got his second tech of the night after a questionable traveling call, and that one was not a travel, resulting in his ejection and meaning assistant coach David Allerman had to take over for the rest of the way. And speaking of taking over, that's exactly what reigning MVP Nikola Jokic did in fourth quarter and overtime. Coming into this one, coming into the fourth, Nikola only had 16 points. And to put things into perspective, he ended with 46 when time had expired on the overtime clock. That's right, in the fourth quarter, Nikola scored 30 points by himself. Clearly, it was his show at the end of the day. It's just another mark on the long list of accolades that the Joker put up in a short time in the league. And clearly, with those numbers, he's making a clear push for his second MVP case in a row. And with that, Rams, it's time for a very quick break.
When we come back, Madeline sits down with a guy who's quickly become one of the fan favorites for Rams basketball. Stick with us after the break for an exclusive interview. You won't want to miss it.